He can score in bunches. We talked about, again, that Cavalier game last year when he was in Cleveland. Wow.
Cephalosha read it perfectly. Back comes Simmons. Oh! Hammers it.
Comes up shooting. Nice play.
16 and 8. Cantor got into it with that guy on a poor entry. It'll be Simmons.
Ben Simmons is an enigma. One might say the adage, how the mighty have fallen. He was once a perennial all-star and considered one of the best defenders in the league. The late Kobe Bryant spoke high of his game, though said he definitely needed to get a jump shot.
How far can Ben Simmons go?
Well, he's got to get a jump shot. It's like, it sounds humorous and all that, but I'm dead-ass serious.
Still, Kobe was astonished at what Simmons was capable of doing with a shot. Seemingly, Ben Simmons didn't see Kobe's talk. Actually, it seems no matter who tells him to shoot, he just won't. Things have gone downhill for Simmons. His promising career has more or less disappeared. Now every pundit and armchair basketball expert says he is washed.
And trying to figure out what lineup fits around Ben, what position fits for Ben, how we can make him look good at every opportunity. That's the goal. And I'm still trying to figure that out.
Even his former teammates in Philadelphia are still taking shots at him. It must be something in the water in that city. Philly is rough on their athletes. Apparently, even the athletes are tough on the athletes. George Niang of the Sixers was recently asked about the difference between the team last season and the team this season. Niang didn't hold back. He said, "I got a lot to say about that. Ben kinda handicapped us at the beginning of last year." He went on to say he wasn't going to say anything, but Ben Simmons stopped playing basketball. Doc Rivers and superstar Joel Embiid threw shade at him for his lack of aggression and unwillingness to shoot the ball. How did Simmons handle it? He refused to report to training camp and he intended to never play another game for the Philadelphia 76ers franchise. It was over. Simmons had 4 years left on his contract at the time. That's $147 million. At his request, the Sixers began the exit process. They started looking for trade partners, but things weren't that simple. He returned to the team and things got even weirder. After some odd moments, avoiding communication with the organization and then finally coming back to the team, he ended up not playing after all. His claim, he wasn't mentally ready. After talks and fines and failed trade requests, Dame Dollar was off the table. The Kings were hunting Simmons hard, but nothing came of it. Good for them. They're sitting in the 3 seeds in the West right now, the Cinderella darlings of the NBA. Finally, the Sixers and the Nets agreed to a blockbuster deal which sent James Harden and Paul Millsap to Philly for Simmons and others.
Philly was my first choice.
The deal was insane. The Brooklyn Nets had invested so much in Harden, and poof, he was out. And it wasn't even a pretty goodbye. He was teamed up with KD again, and Kyrie running alongside him in the backcourt. It wasn't enough. To be fair to James, he only played a grand total of 16 games with KD and Kyrie. Harden was done in Brooklyn. He said the situation in Brooklyn was ugly AF. Nothing he wanted to put up with. So, the former MVP was out and on his way to running the show with a new superstar teammate, Joel Embiid.
With their defense, they've really ramped it up with intensity. Harden!
The drama in Philadelphia was over. About damn time. It was the end of what seemed like an eternal saga surrounding Simmons. Ben Simmons got what he wanted, a trade, and the Sixers got a playmaker who actually shoots the basketball in James Harden, who had his own issues with the Nets. So, Simmons returned to the court and has been playing for Brooklyn. But things got ugly fast. Game 4 of the playoff series against the feisty Boston Celtics, just before the game was set to tip off, it was announced Simmons was out with back soreness. The Nets' daily site went off. The overflow of hate sent towards Simmons was outrageous, and he hadn't even made his debut with the team. It's probably for the best that he didn't play. The Nets ended up being swept by the Celtics, and most likely he would have been booed and ran off his own home court in his first game. That is an ugly sight. Fast forward, Simmons was under scrutiny for his alleged lack of competitive spirit. He showed no passion or commitment to excellence. He wasn't playing. He can't shoot. His defense may have been stellar, but what good does it do when he's in street clothes watching from the bench? He had the offseason to prepare, a training camp with his new teammates, running the show with KD and Kyrie. What more can a pass first and only point guard want? The name of the game for Brooklyn was patience. Take the time to fit all the pieces and build a championship roster. Then the season started, and yikes! Fans and pundits were aghast to see that sometimes Simmons didn't even look like he belonged in the league. Has a former #1 draft pick ever been sent to the G League? We are 2/3 into the 2022-23 season, and the Nets do not resemble the team they started the season with. We won't even get into Kyrie and KD drama. Well, maybe for a second. The two superstars were traded to the Western Conference before the trade deadline.
Baker trade, where Russell Westbrook being traded, going to Utah as Irving launches a three-pointer.
Leaving Simmons in the lurch. Apparently, they weren't excited with a lot that was going on with the organization, so they peaced out.
I'm glad that he got out of there.
The already disgruntled fan base and media aren't all that interested in the Nets anymore. Before Durant was sidelined with injury, the Nets were one of the hottest teams in the league, and climbing the Eastern Conference standings, now they aren't expected to maintain their spot in the playoff picture. And even if they do, it certainly won't be because of Ben Simmons. Ben has played 42 games in the defensive duties of the opponent's best player? Nope. Let's put it this way. Ben Simmons is hard to watch. He has shown moments, though. It hasn't been a complete horror show. For an 11-game stretch when the Nets were looking like they might be the best team in the NBA, Simmons averaged 15 points per game. He was even making beautiful dime passes and creating shots for slashing teammates, but he doesn't shoot. Remember what Kobe said, if he gets a jump shot, he could be a problem. The problem, really, though, he doesn't even look like he is concerned with scoring at all. The only time he puts it up is from 5 feet or closer to the rim. Even Dwight Howard had more range than this kid. The dream player the Nets thought they were acquiring seems to be a relic of the past.
Trusting that he's a professional and that his skills are going to catch up. I'm not going to give him any excuses.
The slashing and playmaking? Not really. The defensive stopper they needed to shut down the Giannis's and the Jason Tatums? Not even close. Now that things seem to have calmed down in Brooklyn, is Ben Simmons salvageable? He is only 26 years old, and obviously he has shown signs that he can be an incredible player in this league. If you had asked anyone in the year 2020, I know 2.5 years ago was a long time in sports, people would have said Ben Simmons was one of the best all-around players we have in the NBA.
I have great thoughts on Ben Simmons. I'll say this on record. Ben Simmons is a fucking star.
Game, but that was then. Ben Simmons was those things, no doubt about it. But you know what the best athletes do? They get better. The best of the best improve each off season. They come back with new skills, more range on their jump shot, quicker feet, a better percentage from 3. Simmons hasn't gotten any better. He seems to be backsliding. For all intents and purposes, it appeared that his last series with Philadelphia against the Atlanta Hawks was the end of the Ben Simmons we knew. The infamous pass-up shot was the nail in the coffin, and not challenging the much smaller, in fact tiny in comparison, Trae Young at the rim. Yeah, that showcased how poorly he played to end his career in Philadelphia. Not to rub salt on a wound, but Simmons was a ghost. He barely averaged 10 points for the series. This is all part of why Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid laid into him after the game. Not in person, but to the media. Pretty harsh. Doc was asked if Ben Simmons could still be the point guard for the team he wants to build in Philly. Doc's answer? He didn't know the answer right now.
Doc, you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now.
And that was that. Simmons stayed away from the team for the summer. It was, how do you say, weird. There was some serious potential for Ben in Brooklyn. In the beginning, pundits like Chris Broussard, there was some serious potential for Ben in Brooklyn. In the beginning, pundits like Chris Broussard kept picking the Nets to represent the East. He held on fast that Ben and company could keep getting better and better, and he was right for a minute. But as we said, just like Ben Simmons' free throws, things got ugly real quick. Overall, Simmons has looked like a Walmart version of the player he used to be. He is averaging 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Not exactly max contract numbers. So, sad to say, but it appears Ben Simmons is evaporating into history. Sorta. He's still an NBA player making absolutely insane amounts of money to basically run back and forth and travel with the team. But in the trades the Nets made for their 2 former superstars, they brought in bodies that resemble Simmons. The difference? The new guys aren't afraid to shoot threes. And what is the NBA today? Thanks to Steph Curry, it's a 3-point shooters league. If you can shoot threes, you can earn your way into the rotation for pretty much any team that is competitive. That is a big factor for the future of Ben Simmons. New teammates, Michael Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Dorian Finney-Smith may start eating chunks of his playing time. They've been playing the last couple seasons with great players and teams, so they certainly aren't afraid of taking on more responsibility with a new team that is in the middle of a rebuild of sorts. The new additions don't bode well for Simmons. The future of Ben Simmons is not looking great. He can still play a bit of defense, but his mind is not right. He has almost no confidence. He is afraid of attacking the rim for fear of being fouled. He doesn't want to shoot free throws because he cannot shoot free throws. This has put a gash in his transition game. Defenders can cut off passing lanes because they have no fear of this risking being fouled and sent to the line. The infamous Skip Bayless dropped a truth bomb. He said that Ben Simmons is probably the only player in NBA history to get worse at shooting free throws over a career. It's true. Skip. Who would think Skip would be the sage words for anything? But it really emphasizes the path Ben Simmons' career is headed. He may not be in the league much longer. The game is changing. And if his mind isn't right, it may be too much for him to overcome. If we don't see some serious improvements between now and next season, he may be playing basketball on a PlayStation by 2025.